I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Thursday, June the 5th, brought to you in part by Specialty Risk Insurance. They're huge, guys. Every single insurance need that you can have in an agribusiness, I'm betting they can take care of. Crops, insurance, property, equipment, employee benefits, anything that you need. Be sure and check with them at Specialty Risk, and they're going to be really competitive with their premiums. Guys, if you have a sale barn, they can do it from one end to the other. A turnkey deal, all your needs covered right there. For more information, go to specialtyrisk.com. Also, Unionville Livestock Market and Creston Livestock Markets in north central Missouri and south central Iowa. Unionville Livestock Market is getting ready for their big sale of the year, their June 24th Customer Appreciation Day barbecue special. They're going to have their best consignments of summer cattle right there, and it'll be a big one, and plus you'll get a steak sandwich and see a lot of your old friends and everything. Be sure and attend that sale. On Wednesday, they had another special back to grass sale at Creston Livestock Market, and it was a humdinger. Some of the best quotes I saw out of there was 67 steers weighed 968 at 285 and a quarter, and some lighter calves weighed 57 of those weighed 581 and bring 388.75. Be sure and keep up with both those sales, both on DVAuction.com. LMA conference is going on in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm here right now recording up in my room here in Omaha, and I've already seen auction owners and managers from all over the United States. A big contingency of them is here, and then of course they got all the young auctioneers here competing for the World Livestock Auctioneer Championship. They're going to be having that sale on Saturday over in Dunlap, Iowa, and that's the Shabans and Will Epperly. They're going to be putting on a hell of a show there for you, and some of the best, or the best, auctioneers in North America will be there. Told you before, I'm not sure who to pick this time. I think Jace Thompson fits the mold pretty well, and he's really hot right now, young auctioneer, and really good. If the judges decide to spice it up a little bit, AJ Austin out of Arkansas, he is awfully good. But the Canadians have three of the best auctioneers in the world here vying for the championship, so it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. Don't forget about that South Dakota Cattlemen's Primetime Gala that I've been telling you about. They're giving away a pickup, and not just a pickup, a 2025 Chevy Silverado diesel 4x4 crew cab, all the bells and whistles. The tickets are $100 a piece. You can buy as many of them as you want. You can be anywhere and buy them. You can get online at Primetime Gala Raffle and buy your tickets right there. You don't have to be present to win. The raffle benefits Feeding South Dakota, which gives beef to kids that are in need and need some extra food. So it's an awful good cause, and be sure and get in there and get your tickets bought. I'm going to be taking a rare day off here, guys. We decided that we are not going to have a feeder flash on Friday. I say we, I say me and the guys that I work with that help keep all the information up to date on NationalBeefWire.com. We're all going to be busy doing other things, and we decided to take one rare day off, so we will not be having a feeder flash on Friday. Talked about your board on Wednesday. June live cattle futures up 242. Responded well to that up and down day on Tuesday with that rumor out there, but responded much better on Wednesday, up 242 at 218.40. Your August live cattle contract up 260 at 212.35. Back months were up 157 to up 267. August feeder cattle up 265 at 303.87. September up 272 at 303.15. and your back months on feeders up 175 to up 262. That's more like we figured that it ought to be. Your grains for July up 1/4 cent a bushel at 438 3/4. Beans for July up 4.5 cents a bushel at 10.45, and hard red winter wheat for July up 3 3/4 cents a bushel at 540.5. Fat cattle trade started to get underway on a direct basis. Didn't have a lot of sales, but it's kind of taken shape, and it's going to be steady to higher. Looks to me like maybe not as much sharply higher as it was last week, but steady to higher, I believe. Iowa just had a load of cattle sell on Wednesday on a direct basis. They've only sold 250 some for the week, but that load, it was a mixed load, so that goes to say might be not the best quality, but mixed loads don't usually sell very well. But they bring 233, which was well within the range of last week's trade. Nebraska sold 350 head. That's just about all they've sold for the week. And their sales live were 235 and dressed were 375. Those are well within the range also. Now Kansas sold 1,150 head on Wednesday, and your price was 220 to 225. So that's $1 higher, or $2 higher than what we saw last week on the top end there. So that bodes well for the Southern Plains, and they've been trading way behind the Northern Plains. Big premium for those Northern Plains cattle, and in most cases they're not that much better. It's just that the Northern Plains trades cattle, so they have a lot of leverage. Southern Plains doesn't trade cattle because you have so many corporate feeders that are all in a sweetheart deal that it's hard for those smaller ones to get in there and negotiate with no leverage. Texas sold 1,000 head, 224 to 225. That'd be a little bit higher, so good for them. A couple of auctions. These auctions are just out of sight this week. I told you how good Yankton was on our last visit, but Sioux Falls Regional Livestock had a fat cattle auction on Wednesday in Worthing, South Dakota. Had about 1,000 head on offer. The conventional cattle sell from 236 to 245.50, $10 to $12 higher. They did have dairy cross steers, dairy beef cross steers, 226 to 235. Thought that was awfully good. Glacial Lakes Livestock in Watertown, South Dakota had a good fat cattle auction also. They had about 1,000 head on offer as well. Conventional cattle selling from 230 to 237, with program cattle as high as 244. That was also $8 to $10 higher. So these auctions have just been out of sight with people needing to fill gaps with some of the cattle that they have there. They did have fat cows at Watertown selling from 155 clear up to 176. Box beef cutout values were mixed on Wednesday. 365.16 for choice, that was down 28 cents. Selects were up 20 cents at 356.72. Your slaughter, 357,000 estimated cattle slaughter through the first 3 days of the week. Can't compare it to last week because of the holiday. You can compare it to a year ago this week, and it's 7,000 less than a year ago this week. Talk about what else is going on. Legacy Beef Co-op. Get involved in this cooperative. Become a member. Reserve your kill slot for $10 a head. You know you're going to have a place to sell your cattle and get a premium for them right there. And they are moving from into the 4th round of 5 rounds of investment. So you need to hurry up and get in this. You know, you've made some money this year. Invest it back in the industry. It'll be a good time to do that, and then it kind of ensures your operation going forward. I'm going to share once again the video from James Timberman, who is head of Legacy Beef Co-op, and be sure and get in touch with him. You can get more information at legacybeefcoop.com. Talk about our feeder cattle market, brought to you by Specialty Risk Insurance. They are working to protect your livelihood. Your real-time index after your sales had all closed on Wednesday, up big again, sitting at 306.19, all-time high, up 139. Your latest CME cash feeder cattle index dragging up the rear at 301.48. Your big sales on Wednesday. OKC West, El Reno, Oklahoma. About 9,000, counting the calves that they had on Tuesday. The calves were selling steady to $5 lower on Tuesday. I looked at your feeder cattle and yearlings on Wednesday. The federal state market report was not out, but they sure looked steady to $5 higher on those. Really good market there in El Reno. It was your Superior Steel, Superior Standard livestock equipment stick out sale of the day. I'm going to get better at that. Look at this automated market report through Cattle Market Central, and you see your best tested weights. Of course, they were all in the heavy end there. That's 702 head of 761 pound steers in your 7-weight category, averaged 304.62. 966 head of 8 weights, averaged 862 at 291.95, and 1,133 head of 9-weight steers in El Reno, Oklahoma, averaged 946 at 283.58. Now on the heifers, 1,179 head of 6-weight steers, averaged 663 at 318.73. 1,066 head of 7-weight heifers, averaged 760 at 286.62, and 636 head of 8-weight heifers averaged 846 pounds on the weight, with a weighted average price of $270.72. Good sale at El Reno there. I want to tell you about a market that I didn't figure that I was going to be talking about in this section of the report for a big stick out sale. It's Landmark Mercantile Livestock Auction in Mesquite, New Mexico. Now, I hooked that sale up on auction. I know it's our only outdoor weekly auction. And I installed DVAuction there at their very first sale. You know, they had a couple of hundred odd mixed cattle, and they had a couple of hundred sheep and goats, and I thought that was awfully good. Didn't figure they would be selling big strings there, but they've been making headway. They're way down in the desert, kind of between Las Cruces, New Mexico and El Paso, Texas, if you can imagine that. They sell 60 steers, weighed 684 at 322.50. Not too shabby for down in the desert, guys. Now I want to tell you about Stockman's Livestock Market in Yankton, South Dakota. This is on their feeder sale, not their fat cattle auction that I always talk about, but on their feeder sale on Wednesday, they had 98 head, 595 pound steers, almost 600 pounds at 403.50. Stick out sale out of OKC West and El Reno was 80 steers, weighed 912 at 304.50. But the most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Wednesday, your Macrocin, no BS, top quote for the day, come out of Hub City Livestock in Aberdeen, South Dakota. 67 steers, weighed 806 at 332.25. That's the biggest 8-weight quote I've ever given. And that's your feeder flash for Thursday. I'm Corbett Wall with this feeder flash feature. I'm going to be interviewing James Timberman here with Legacy Beef Cooperative and Cattlemen's Heritage Beef. How are you doing, James?
Good. How are you doing, Corbett?
Now, this is the first time we've met, right?
That's correct.
But the Timberman name is synonymous with top quality cattle feeding and top quality beef production, right?
Yes, it is.
Can you tell me a little bit about that and how it ties in with this new venture?
Yes. So my family is, like you said, in the cattle feeding, ranching business. All started with my grandfather in the mid-40s, moved to Omaha, Nebraska, and built a feed yard there to be closer to the stockyards. My dad and his brothers took over the family business and grew it in western Nebraska and eastern Colorado. And they themselves got involved in beef processing in the mid-90s. And so that family legacy really is expanded to 2 brothers and cousins who are in the cattle feeding business. And myself, I kind of chose a little different path and went into beef processing and was in the business for 25 years. And so it's kind of led me here to Legacy Beef Co-op.
So you got a lot of background in this industry. What drew you to Legacy Beef Cooperative and Cattlemen's Heritage Beef?
So I've heard about the project for the last few years and just got a little bit of information. We discussed the co-op model. I thought it was perfect for the industry at this time in kind of the development of beef processing. And so I really wanted to be part of the team, and kind of coincidence, they were needing some assistance with the co-op. And so then in October of 2024, I decided to join Legacy Beef and work on the project.
So last time we were interviewing Chad Tinninger, and you have become involved with him with this venture, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now he has experience in this, and he was telling us about the efficiencies that he's put into this new plant. Do you see these efficiencies and how they're going to help the success of this plant in the long run?
I really do, because a lot of the plants now being developed in the last 4 or 5 years, the technology is really amplified to where it was, where there's a lot more robotics involved in the actual processing and the sorting of beef products, also in the storage, where it really helps reduce the labor needed for beef processing, which in turn, with labor being the biggest cost, reduce the cost and makes the plant much more efficient.
I see. James, can you give our audience just a kind of an overview of Legacy Beef Cooperative and Cattlemen's Heritage Beef, what we're talking about exactly?
Yes. So Legacy Beef Co-op is the co-op that producers will join and be members of. Cattlemen's Heritage is the beef processing plant being developed near Council Bluffs, Iowa. So the members of Legacy Beef will be equity members in Cattlemen's Heritage, and the equity we raise through the co-op, they will be 20% owners of Cattlemen's Heritage.
So what do you see valuable within the co-op model and eventually the Cattlemen's Heritage Beef plant?
What I like a lot about the co-op model is that it allows small to medium-sized cattle producers to be involved, one, in a co-op that helps them out in their operations. Plus, I think within the beef industry, I think we do need more producer involvement. So with this model, if you join the co-op and become a member of the co-op, you also have the opportunity to invest in Cattlemen's Heritage Beef as well. So you do have a little bit of equity into cattle and beef production.
So do you think ultimately this type of a model for the beef packing will help keep more smaller farmer feeders in business?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
And that's one thing that drew you to it.
That's really what draws me to it, is because I do think you hear a lot of stories being out in the country with small producers, anywhere from 2,500 head they feed to even up to 10,000, how they really are looking for better marketing opportunities and really more equitable arrangements compared to the larger feeders in the country.
Sure. Can you tell us a little bit about the investment model with Legacy Beef Cooperative and where we're at within that?
So the overall investment, we have 5 rounds of investment. Currently, we have sold through the first 2 rounds, so we're in the 3rd round. To what we are currently in right now is what we're calling our seed round, which is giving you the opportunity to reserve your space or shackle space in the investment in Cattlemen's Heritage. So right now, to reserve a spot is $10 per head. We'll reserve a spot in the co-op and you become a member of the co-op. The share price we're currently at in round 3 for the equity investment in Cattlemen's Heritage is $175 per share per shackle space.
Okay. And that's gone up from the first and second.
Correct.
Right?
So it was started at 125 for the first round, 150 for the second. So right now 175, and then round 4 is 200 and round 5 is 225.
Okay.
So there are advantages in getting in currently.
Right. So, but to reserve your spot, you need to be invested in one of the rounds at least, right?
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
Now, is there a maximum or a minimum of your spots that you can reserve?
The minimum would be, we say there's no minimum, but the best really is one load. So we do have members who are buying 40 shares just for
Just
one
for a
load a
load of
year.
cattle?
Yes, and there is no maximum.
Okay. And that's annually. So if you bought 40, you could send one load of fed cattle into the Cattlemen's Heritage Beef plant.
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay, good. So you've got a key date coming up here this summer. Tell me about July 1st and what that's going to kick off.
That's correct, Corbett. On July 1st, we are really going to start the co-op on an operational basis. So we are going to start offering members marketing opportunities for the cattle that are part of the co-op. Also look at ways that we can help them on their purchasing power. And really what the goal with that co-op starting on July 1st is really to give the small to medium producers the same, put them on the same level playing field as the big feed yards.
I see. So these shares, once you purchase them, they're going to have value, right? And will you be able to market them among other shareholders?
Yes. So really, the way we have it structured is that per share that you purchase, you are obligated to deliver the animal. Then if you feel like you cannot make the delivery, then you do have the ability to lease those shares out to other members of the co-op that they can, you can have some value owning these shares and you can have cattle delivered on those shares.
We've seen something similar to this with U.S. premium beef in Kansas. So, and that those shares have become pretty valuable. Do you see that happening with this venture?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. What kind of cattle are we looking to harvest at Cattlemen's Heritage Beef? Do you have a target?
Currently, we don't have a specific target, but as most beef processors, we're looking for a high grade, high quality beef. But really, we're not going to specify exactly what we need to have delivered.
So, James, this whole venture has kind of been based off of marketing the cattle off of the dressed beef price rather than the live market or the way some of your big four packers price the cattle or purchase the cattle. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yes. So we are looking for the pricing the cattle is using the USDA choice market as the base and plan on gridding the cattle with premiums and discounts based off of USDA choice, which is different than buying them live or buying them just dressed beef.
Right. And the market's been really good, all-time record highs here posted within the last few months on every class of cattle that there is, but that's not going to last forever.
That's correct.
So
That's correct.
we may be able to insulate some of these producers from the downside of this going forward, don't you think?
Yes, yes. We feel like, really with the pricing model we have in place for the cattle, it really it gives protection because you're going to be paid what the plant is selling you beef for. So you really get the true value of your beef.
I see. So you're basically going to be sharing more of the pie than what cattle feeders are used to, the way things have been set up, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Great.
Yes.
So this is primarily set up for smaller feeders. Of course, a bigger feeder could get involved in it too. But how many cattle are we looking to harvest annually?
So annually, we're looking to harvest about 525,000 head annually. So 2,000 head a day on one shift per day.
So is that how many shares there's going to be put out then is 525,000
That's correct.
annually?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
so all of those cattle. So you won't be having to get short of cattle and be looking for them. You'll know that they're coming. How will you schedule the cattle in?
The way I look at it is that really once you know your cattle are ready to come in, you need to call us. We'll schedule based on really first come, first serve. If you call, we'll put up if we know the week your cattle are ready, we'll schedule them. But we also will probably need to go out on the market some in certain months, especially in the summer,
To fill some
to
gaps.
fill in some
I
gaps.
see. Okay. Now, you're also looking at producers further in the line to maybe fill some of these gaps, and you've got a cow-calf program or a cow-calf producer program. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So we are looking and visiting with cow-calf producers all throughout the country. And as you know, the market right now, they are selling their calves with a pretty good profit. But as we also know that the market there will be a downturn. So what we are really is targeting with cow-calf producers is that they become members of the co-op. They own the shares, so it really gives them a lot of flexibility based on the market. Either they can sell their calves like they currently are now, and then lease their shares out to the feeders who buy them. But then the cow calf would still get benefits of ownership in terms of delivery fees and equity. But they also, it gives them a little protection that if they want to retain ownership in their calves, they can feed them out and then have somewhere to go that will still give them a hedge and true value of what their carcasses are worth.
Right. So Legacy Beef Cooperative has pretty much all been set up to get the investment and get the core to get Cattlemen's Heritage Beef going, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And do we have a time frame on Cattlemen's Heritage Beef when we think we would have that going and could start harvesting some cattle?
Currently, we are still scheduled to start groundbreaking towards the end of this year, which would it's a 2-year construction project, so probably the beginning of 2028. But as we explore market conditions, especially in the next few months, and look at heifer retention, we do also have the ability to delay a little bit and open when the market conditions seem more advantageous.
As tight as packer margins are right now, I wouldn't blame you by
Yes.
dragging your feet just a
No.
little bit. So might be better for the whole project if you do.
Yes. Yes.
But it's just it's right on the horizon here. I mean, it'll be here before you know it.
That's correct.
So,
That's correct.
okay. So of the 5 rounds of investment, we've made it through the first 2, and then we're working on the 3rd round. How much longer do you think it'll take to finish that up?
Well, our goal for the next round really is to have it completed by July 1st.
Okay.
And then move on to the next.
I see. So if we've got some listeners that are interested in investing into Legacy Beef Cooperative, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you guys and see what they want to do?
Well, the best way to get a hold of us is go to our website, which is www.legacybeefcoop.com, and there is a submission form where you can send us your information. You can email me directly at james@legacybeefcoop.com or call me at 531-375-6559.
Well, we're moving right along on this Legacy Beef Cooperative investment, and it won't be long before we're going to have groundbreaking on this Cattlemen's Heritage Beef plant. It's an exciting new venture, the efficiencies we've talked about, and it was great to get to talk to you and learn more about this project.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm glad I could share it with you.
Until next time, I'm Corbett Wall with this Feeder Flash feature.